Welcome back to the Gone for 10 show. I feel like something along the lines of "Hello, darkness, my old friend" should be scrolling across the screen right now. But you know what? We're here for the Roosters versus the Rabbits. My boys are out. We have booked Mad Monday. We're probably in Bali at the moment, but it was the South Sydney Rabbitohs coming over the Roosters 30-14. Possession, the Roosters obviously had 52-48. Completion rate, the Rabbits had 80-72. Errors, 12-8. And obviously the running meters, there was a bit of a contrast of about 150 meters in the Roosters' advantage. Moving on to the next slide. Angus Crichton for the Roosters in the 9th minute. Daniel Tufu in the 12th minute. Nat Butcher in the 54th. Sammy Walker, after having a few weeks where he had some cracking conversion rates, did go 1 from 3 with the boot. Alex Johnston for Souths opened up the scoring. Latrell Mitchell in the 22nd. Johnston again in the 46th. Jai Arrow in the 51st. And obviously Isaiah Tass sealed the game in the 71st with Latrell Mitchell going 5 from 5. But guys, Baxter's having a bit of a laugh here. You've probably seen it on the screen. I have put it up there. The sin binnings 3 to the Roosters, 4 to South Sydney. We'll jump into obviously each one if we thought it was a sin binning. But first of all, Baxter, give me your thoughts on this game, because there's a lot of back and forth. People are saying it was a disgusting spectacle of rugby league. There's other people saying this is what rugby league's been missing. It's come back to the olden days. Talk to me through this game, and fuck South Sydney, but talk to me through it.
Look, it was one of the most talked up finals game of this weekend, of the previous weekend that just went. And I know that you went to the ground, so we'll touch on there. But just from a neutral, I didn't care who won. Either you would win or my dad would be happy. So at least one of you would be happy. Couldn't care less. But these sin binnings, whilst I have some AFL friends, and I always used to bag them out how the AFL would always get into these melees, and they'll just be into these shirt handbag scuffles, and no swinging fists were ever thrown, and that's what this game basically became. As soon as something wasn't so as soon as something happened that one team wasn't happy about, a melee sort of came out and stopped the flow of the game, and it was just like sorry, it was just a sort of it sort of tainted the game in a way. Like, there was some great footy played, but like, seriously, what more could the ref could have done? What did he had to fully send off someone? And look, I'm going to touch on it. Thank you, Ashley Klein, for talking, giving free promo to our podcast here 7 times throughout the whole match. So it was great to see. If you follow us on Twitter, go check it all out, because Ashley Klein, mate, you got a membership here for life with the stunt you did on Sunday. So it was great. But what is he going to do? What is him and the bunker going to do? Do they need to start sending people off? Like, if you get sent to 10 once, and you're going to go get sent for 10 twice, it's a send off. Like, is that how it's going to have to be, or does the NRL need to come down harsh on Thurman in? You're going to spend some time in the bin, and you're going to serve a suspension as well, or something. Like, does it need to go down that route, or are we just happy with it the way it is, and we just cruise along and sort of turn a blind eye to this game and go, oh, it was a one-off?
Well, let's go over them obviously quickly. Obviously, I'll read through them. It was Victor Radley went in the 4th minute. Thomas Burgess in the 18th. Tane Milne in the 19th. Hargraves in the 50th. Victor Radley again in the 60th. Tavita Totola in the 60th with Radley. And obviously Tane Milne in the 65th minute. Let's kick it off, because I'm going to be biased, I think, in some of these, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my opinion next. Victor Radley's first sin bin. It was ruled as a punch. He was not charged for any striking charge, so take that as you will. But Victor Radley, sin bin, not sin bin, soft, too hard, or right punishment?
No, it was the correct call. He threw a fist, and in this game, day and age of throw a puncher in the bin. So what else is the referee going to do?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought it was pretty stupid. The only thing I'm going to argue from here is in every single tackle, we see a hand come away from the head and push down with an open fist. So yes, you can say they're pushing their heads into the ground, but it's always contact to the head. So I think it's a dangerous precedence, but I do believe he did deserve to go. But we'll jump on to the next one. Thomas Burgess, 18th minute now. I'm going to jump into defense for Thomas Burgess here. For this tackle on Matt Lodge, I thought there was no chance he should have got sent to the sin bin. However, you go back 2 tackles earlier, he
One
takes
tackle.
off Tedesco's head. He absolutely murders Tedesco. And honestly, the more you look at it, you take into play Tedesco, not even waiting for the doctor to come in. He's told by the referee, you need to go. How does he not get sent to the bin there? Like that was horrendous. And then obviously he makes it up 2 tackles later with a soft sin binning. But what were your thoughts on the soft sin binning, and do you think he should have gone for the Tedesco one?
Well, in hindsight, looking back at it, and it's always better to look at it in hindsight because you get a better picture. In hindsight, yes, he should have been sent off, but during the live play, you could say, yeah, maybe Tedesco fell, and that's why he sort of hit him around the head, and he was actually aiming around the chest. Okay, it's on report. Fair enough. They kick downfield, the Roosters. The next play, Lodge takes a hit up, and Sam Burgess again hits him high. What's the referee going to do? Hey, I've just let, as he said, I've let that one go because under what I've just said, Tedesco looks like he's falling, and what can you do? But this one, 2 tackles in a row, you go on head high, send in the bin. So it was fair, regardless of if it was soft. Just by the incidents, we want to make a consistency. We want to be more consistent as a NRL community. People that say this is a really soft one because of the hit, you're sort of using discretion there, and that's going into a grey area because you got to look at it. The first one might have been accidental, but the next play, the next tackle, it's another head high by the same defending player. What is the referee going to do? So it's 10 in the bin, no doubt about it. And so I believe Tom Burgess is serving a 2-week suspension because of the hit on Teddy, not on the Lodge. The Lodge one is I think it's an $1,800 fine. So I think it was the correct call. It was the correct call.
You know what? I think they got those charges perfectly. I think the first one did warrant a 1 to 2 week punishment. Obviously, he does have loading, so I believe that would have been 1 week. But with the loading, it does come up to 2 weeks. For the Lodge one, I'm happy with a fine. I'm not going to be bitter about that. But we'll move on. Obviously, a minute later, Tane Milne does obviously go for another high shot. Now, this is the one that I kind of had an issue with, and not with the 10 in the bin. I think he deserves to go, but the punishment that came with it. Now, obviously, Tane Milne, he's hit him high. Straight away, he's gone to see if he's okay. Like, fair play to him. But when you watch the actual video, he doesn't just hit him high. He jumps right before he hits him. So that's now showing me there's intent to aim higher up the body, yet he's sitting there with a fine where, again, he's not a popular player, but Tyler May, who stayed on his feet for the exact same tackle, he's facing a 1 week suspension. So obviously, first of all, are you happy with the sin binning? Second of all, did you think it warranted a week?
I actually agree with both of you. In real time, I was like, man, you just seen your mate just go off for 2 high shots. You want to do another high shot? Well, you're going to join him 10 in the bin. Yes, I do believe it should have been a week by the match review committee, but my thoughts on the match review committee is it's the blind, it's the blind leading the dumb. So it doesn't matter what they think. It's just you're never going to get right by that. The only thing I do say about that, I just didn't like. You got Jared Hargraves at the time. He's running from about 15 meters away, and he got into the referee's face. And I'm like, mate, it has nothing to do with you. The referee did the right thing. He sent him to the bin. What's he supposed to do? What is?
Well, man, let's be honest. Sorry, hold on. If that is Hargraves jumping into a high shot, do you think he gets in the bin, or do you think he's sitting out for the rest of the game? Let's be honest.
If it's the same, if you replace Milne with Hargraves, it's going to be 10 in the bin. I don't think he.
No, it's going to be a send off. He's got sent off for less than that. But before I will let you talk to your point. But before you say Hargraves ran in, he was the acting captain because Tedesco was already off the pitch. So Hargraves was the captain.
Fair enough. He didn't. The way I looked at it, he just come running over and just sort of stood over the referee, and I was just like, man, like. What more can the referee do? He's already sent him to he's going to send him to the bin like that. But like you had all your money on the bet that he was going to send him to the bin, and it was the correct call. But I didn't know that he was the acting captain. Obviously, I didn't know about that, but it didn't look good at the time, and I was just like, Jared needs to keep a lid on it because the way it's going. He'll end up 10 in the bin like David Clemmer did on Easter, Good Friday.
Well, you know what? I'll cut you off there because that's a perfect segue, though, Baxter. 31 minutes later, who finds himself in the bin? It is Jared Hargraves. Obviously, he did come down with the head slam. He was sent to the bin now. No issue with the 10 in the bin. He deserved it. No issue with the 3 weeks. My only issue, and again, I can't talk bad about the match review committee. I work with someone who is a part of that committee, so I can't say anything bad. But we've seen Nelson do that 6 times leading into the finals. And I think he's got a lollipop every time he's left the judiciary. It's cost him about $1,000 to $3,000, but every single time he's left there, he's got a lollipop now. Hargraves deserved it. I think you're going to agree. I know there's a point you want to talk about. Hargraves is going to potentially face his suspension while he is with the New Zealand side at the World Cup. Fair suspension, fair 10 in the bin. Talk to me about the suspension.
10 in the bin, I agree, but I don't agree with the suspension because if you got Nelson Solomona, who's come up against similar charges throughout this season, and he hasn't served a single game of being suspended, and he's paid what $25,000 or less, around that ballpark. I think it should have been a fine. If it's good for one player, why isn't it good for another? I think there's sort of a little bad rap on Jared too. He comes out as this sort of dirty player, which I think it's more about how he plays, about him just being aggressive. I would have preferred to see a fine, maybe 1 week, because on previous, with Nelson. I don't agree with the games that he is serving his suspension with. Now, for the people that are listening, he will miss the 2 games at the World Cup. The game 1 against Lebanon, game 2 against Jamaica, but he also, in a warm-up, so it's not even a competition game, in a warm-up game against Leeds, as from the Kiwi side, he can use one of those games as well to miss out. That's what I don't agree with that.
Just quickly back to that is now under review, that friendly game. So the report did come out that it was going to count. However, the report that's come out today is the NRL hasn't actually agreed to that. It's the New Zealand side has put forth that application to try and get it included. So again, I'm with you on that one. I don't think it should count. I'm okay with the World Cup games counting because he was already going to get selected in the squad. We're not talking about someone who's not going to be in that squad, but I just wanted to jump in there, but keep going. The floor's yours.
No. I just if that was going to be accepted by all parties, from the IRL, from the NRL, from whoever, that's another joke. That's just as bad as the Tyler May serving it next year. Kind of, you can throw it in the same laundry basket because it was just a big joke. But I just don't want him. I just thought, and I've said this to you, because he copped this suspension at a club level. I think that he should have served it during another club level game. I just didn't want to see him miss out into the international. I don't think you can go up and serve your suspensions, only down. Like, so if he got 3 or 4 games at the World Cup and it just carried on to the next year, well, at the Roosters, will that be fine by me? I just didn't want to. I just don't think it should be served up, which would make him eligible to play in the Lebanon game in round 1 at the World Cup. So that's just where I see it. But I'm happy for the other 2 games to be selected. That's fair enough. I'm happy with that. If we want to go into the 3rd game and not use the warm-up game against Leeds, that would be better. But that's about it.
Well, quickly, because we have been going a while, obviously Victor Radley, 60th minute, went again. Tavita, Totola, 60th minute, and Tane Milne, 65th minute, all went to the bin. It was an absolute bin fest. We won't jump into those. I think they were all fines or nothing. So there's not too much to go into those games there. Victor Radley was not charged. Tane Milne was fined, and Totola was either let go or fined. So
the only things out of this, you got Tom Burgess, grade 2 high tackle on Teddy. He's 2 to 3. He's got a grade 1 high tackle, $1,800 fine. Jared serves his 3-match ban if he takes the early guilty plea for a dangerous grade 2. Time careless grade 1 high tackle, $1,800. You got Sawali also on a dangerous grade 1 contact, $1,800 fine, and that's it from this game. The only other suspension was Dale Finucane from the Sharks, and he's taking a early guilty plea of $3,000.
100%. Well, obviously, Burgess has taken his 2 weeks now. Again, this is going quite long in comparison to the other reviews. I think we always knew it was going to. Like the game, it's probably gone for an extra 10 minutes than what it needs to. But just quickly, we'll talk about the players that the Roosters did lose. Obviously, they were already without Lindsay Collins. They were already without Joey Manu. They lost Tedesco in this match. They lost Angus Crichton in this match. They lost Tupu to a groin injury in this match. They then lost Satili for 10 minutes in this match. Poor, Adam Kieran warmed up for, I reckon, about 25 minutes and then was told Satili somehow survived. So I guess my question to you, and I'm going to back it up with a stat here. Do you think the Roosters win this game if those players stay on the pitch? And before I jump in and ask you, I'm going to bring you to a very interesting stat when it comes to this Roosters side. Tedesco played, 18 minutes flat. So he played 18 minutes in this game, and he still ran the 4th most meters by a Rooster in this game. So do you think Simbins stay how they are? Does Simbins still go? Do you think the Roosters win this game if Tedesco's on the pitch against 11 men at twice in that game?
I think the scoreline will be closer, but no, you don't win, because Roosters like to play. They like to keep the ball in the field of play, and then just consistently drain out the opposition. Where the Souths, they like to have a little bit of a stop-start sort of feel to the game. That's where it sort of was leading and ended up towards being a stop-start. So giving that fact of Teddy running the 4th most running meters, that doesn't really win you games. But this stop-start really worked for South, and it showed because they ended up rolling over the top of years. As I said, I think it will be more of a closer scoreline than it is you see on screen. So,
let's go quick 1 minute before we do wrap up. Sorry to cut you off. We are getting close to that time limit. Quick 1 minute, obviously, on that start-stop. Now, Latrell's come out and said we didn't milk the penalties, but if we feel contact, we're going to stay down and wait for the bunker to make a decision. He's come out and said that in a press conference. My question to you, does there need to be a punishment for players that stay down and wait for the bunker to get involved? Now, I know it's not milking, but let's lose Latrell Mitchell for an example here. His first 5 touches of the ball where he did get tackled, he did not play the ball once without a stoppage and only got 1 penalty from those 5 times. So 3 times he held his head for high contact. Surprisingly didn't go for a HIA. There was no contact. and twice they held his back of his neck for a crusher tackle. Now, again, South Sydney, absolute genius. Your forwards were getting peppered. You slowed the game down. Genius move. But do you think there needs to be something like you stay down, the clock stops, just like in soccer, you have to go off for, say, the next 3 tackles or something?
Well, you could sort of twist it, but yeah, like if you go down and you're like, if it's not, I think the bunker gets in a little bit too much. Just let the referee the game, and only the bunker is only needed when the referee requires you to do so. But if you go down injured, either get the injured player off the sideline or out the back so they can address their issue. Put the ball, move it over, and play it on again, and play on. I don't think it should be stopped for any reason like that. But they found a loophole. Not just South, but many other teams have done it also throughout the year. So they found a loophole. I was not doing anything about it just yet, so might as well explore that tactic there.
100%. Well, once again, obviously, congratulations to South Sydney. You are through to the next round. You will face the Sharks. You win that. You have a battle with Penrith. You win that. You have a battle with either the Cowboys, the Raiders, or the Eels. So it's going to be a cracking game. It was a cracking week, finals one. It's probably the best first week of finals I've seen in a very, very, very long time. Have you got something to say before I wrap it up?
I do. This is the first time you see the Roosters and the Storm out of the prelim final since 2005.
Well, I was going to skip over that because it did make me a bit depressed. But thank you for bringing that up. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. But Baxter, obviously, that has been week 1. It's the Panthers to a prelim. It's the Cowboys to a prelim. It's the Raiders advancing to take on the Eels. And it is the Rabbits advancing to take on the Sharks. We will be back soon, and I'll talk to you soon when we talk about game week 2 semi-finals or whatever the hell it's called.